Morning, everybody. It is September 16th of 2020. I guess we're about 50 days away from the election and rocking it out. I mean, it's just, this year's like insane.
Yeah.
I am Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and this is Two Queers in a Truck. And
Sorry, Jenny, I had to turn the music off in the truck. Hold on a second. All right, there
I
we
saw
go.
that.
Yeah,
I saw that. You're rocking the truck out.
We'll see how it works.
It looks good though. It actually looks
Yeah.
really natural.
It kind of looks like I'm sitting in the chair.
It's pretty close.
The one thing I forgot to do, I know we have a guest on today, and I'm gonna let you talk for a while so I can share it. But I forgot to lift the back seat, the two back seats, to put the guest in. So maybe next time, you know us in technology. So maybe next time we'll, because I know you couldn't get yours to work, but you would normally be sitting there on that seat, and then the guest would be right behind us. And I'm pulling the camper. I realized this shot I took, the camper's in the background, but it's sideways.
Yeah, it is. I saw that last night when we practiced this, and your brother Philip wished me happy birthday. Hi, Philip. How are you doing? Thanks for your participation.
So Jenny, talk for a while because I got to share us. Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Basically, this has been an interesting week. Obviously, it's my birthday week. We talked about it on the end of Two Queers in a Truck, and we did a little lighting ceremony and a little serenading of me on the tail end of our Greedo show. But it's also Mexican Independence Day. My birthday is actually tomorrow, but the next show will be way after my birthday, so we went ahead and celebrate today. And it was our 100th show of coffee in Pandulce, so it's just a really big week. I mean, it's just fun. We're right in the middle of crunch time for election time. We got about 50 days till November, voting day, and to find out who our next president's going to be, and just a lot going on. I mean, a lot of organizations are pushing to get people registered. There's a lot in the news. Just a lot of intensity with the election time in September. I mean, so we've got a lot going on. In fact, we even talked about cracking open the baby Trump piñata on the coffee show, and we talked about it, a couple times off camera, and and I've talked about lowering the violence level, especially about our language, how we talk to each other. It's been I heard this thing at the end of a business conference a couple months ago, and the speaker, it's one of the things that he talks about. He does a podcast about lowering violence in America and ending violent language and ultimately trying to ice down or smooth out our differences and not handle them in violent ways, as we're seeing so many things. And we have such a violent history in this country, and I think we're getting to a point where we just can't keep encouraging violence and violence culture. And so, and being somebody that is a pacifist, that is anti-war, I don't want war amongst ourselves. I don't think it ever ends well. It never ends the way people think it will. And, so, and a lot of that stems and starts with our violence of our language and using cursing at people. And so ultimately, long story short, hitting something that represents an actual person, especially on the air after, declaring myself a pacifist, doesn't line up with my values. As much as I don't like the man, we do have a baby Trump piñata on the show. It's a regular guest, and we have a camera for it and everything. We ultimately did not line up with my values, and I couldn't go against my values, and I need to practice what I preach. So I didn't feel comfortable striking that piñata. It just didn't sit well with me, and especially in such inflammatory times where we saw actual physical violence at the RNC, where anti-Trump protesters fought with pro-Trump protesters, and we saw property damaged, and we're just seeing so much of it in Portland and other places we honestly just don't need any more of that. And as symbolic as that pinata is and how silly it is because it's a baby, it still is cringeworthy enough that I felt like I couldn't do it, and I wasn't comfortable. And it's cute, and I definitely I love pinatas and I love celebrating my birthday. But I'd rather serve it in the right way, and we did that. We had a birthday song, and you know, I had and you lit a little candle, and it was great, and I'm more comfortable with that. I think you're muted. I can't hear you. Is your volume down? Are you there? Maybe my volume's down. No? I wonder what happened. I can't hear you on my end. On Facebook.
Well, keep talking, Jenny.
Okay. Well, anyway, I can just barely hear us, and I don't know why. But I guess I shouldn't have messed with my settings right before a show. That'll teach me. Yeah, see, I literally I can only hear myself in real time, but I'm not hearing. This is a problem. I don't know what I did either.
Well, that's okay. Let's see.
But I mean, I can barely hear you. But if I talk, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Well, we'll go on with the show the best we can. Um, it's been a weird morning.
Yeah, it has been. So you can't hear me at all.
I can hear you barely, but if I talk, I can. It's real tinny the way you're coming off. But I checked on Facebook and we sound fine. So I guess I
Yeah, well, yeah, I can hear you. I'll try to speak up then.
okay.
So let's see. Test, 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 test. Let's see if
Yeah,
it
it's
changes.
come back. I don't know
Oh,
what happened. I
wow.
tapped the screen and it came back. I don't know. These iPads and technology's hard for me.
So what I was saying was that I moved to the middle seat. Uh,
Yeah.
so instead of being in this seat, so when the guest comes in, I may have to move over so they can go that way. So yeah, like you were talking about, I don't have a problem hit the piñata. So you know, if when you're not looking, you know, if the candy falls out. But you know, I got you another one, so we can decide how we want to do that one. But so who are we picking up virtually today?
We're virtually picking up Gary Johns. He should be on in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And let's see if I've got a message from him. But he is, you know, does a lot of local community activism. He was the organizer on the HIV and Me presentation that we did here on Two Queers and Truck, a special edition. He has the Queer Society page for Charlotte on Facebook. Generally good guy, and I think a lot of him, and hopefully he can break free from his work schedule. Yeah, and he's going to take his lunch hour and he's going to come on virtually, so that's going to be exciting. So we should see him pop on in probably about 5 or 6 minutes. And in the meantime, we can throw other people shade. You know, and I guess we can talk about the ice thing a little bit.
It's crazy.
It's I first saw that on Twitter. I
Mhm.
saw actually Gabe Cartagena actually post about it a day or two ago. I saw him tweet about it. And I wasn't really paying attention because I see little Twitter. I've got certain people that I follow that I'll see tweets come up on my notices, and I looked at it and I read it again. And I was like, it seems surreal. It just
Yeah.
like with everything else going on in 2020, it's just like, is this real? And then I read the article and I was like, oh my gosh, like it seems real. It's like every news agency's picked it up. I mean,
Yeah.
it is NPR. You said the NPR picked it up this morning.
Yeah, this morning.
And it's just surreal. It's almost like every day in 2020 there's another news story that almost one ups the story before. I mean, between the fires in the West Coast and we've had what 70, 80, 100 days of protests, and we of course COVID obviously is the big story that looms over us, and all the stories of possible vaccines coming out by the election, and it's just everything seems amplified this year. I don't, I guess with us all social distancing and not maybe having the stress relievers that we would normally have through socialization, maybe it's made us feel even more overwhelmed.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's on the face, it's hard to believe that story, but then this is the Trump era, so it's like it's hard to believe, but there's that but. But we didn't get to say this on the coffee show because we didn't want to talk about it too in depth. But what I was going to say was, does anyone expect our president A, to show concern about it, and B, to be outraged like a normal person would be?
Yeah, or even a normal president that said, "I didn't know that was going on, but I'm going to end it immediately, and everybody there is going to be fired or suspended," or like instead, and it's just like everything. The standard response is it's fake news, it's not true, and it's like the boy that cried wolf. And at this point, I think the wolf is going to eat the boy because every response you can't have every response be it's fake news. Exactly. At some point in time, no matter how inaccurate anybody is, like I saw Peter Navarro, he was on CNN the other day, and I forget who was interviewing him, and he just kept saying fake news, and finally the reporter just said, "I'm just going to cut you off the air," and knock Peter. It would knock Peter Navarro off the air because he just said, "Look, if he's not going to respond, if he's not going to discuss this like an adult, he just ended the interview," which I thought was really good of the reporter, because honestly, they shouldn't give him a stage. If they're just going to say fake news, the press should just stop reporting them.
No, exactly. That was the same complaint that everyone had about Kellyanne Conway in the very beginning of the administration. Why even have her on there? Just have a puppet that says, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true. I mean, I know why they do it, so people will watch, but people who watch sometimes gets upset and they change the channel.
Right.
And so, if the person is not going to talk about the issue that you're going to talk about, then say, and you're right. I think that's what Jake Tapper, he said, I don't know what exact words, it was like, this is not going to give you 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm not going to give you 10 minutes just to say the same old stuff. I mean,
yeah, it was Jake Tapper.
If you don't want to answer it, then, why even be on here? And so.
Well, and that's the point. I mean, the point is, it is not necessarily to ambush somebody, or when we have guests on the show that maybe have a different point of view that you and I don't share the same point of view with, like with Republicans and Libertarians, for example. It's not about ambushing them. It's about, having a dialogue and having a discussion. And most of our guests, to their credit, have actually always answered the questions, even if they're hard questions. It may not be an answer that I agree with, but at least they answer it.
So the only person I probably would never invite again, unless y'all overrode me, would be Richard Rivette.
No, there would be no need to bring him back.
That would be a person
that I would confrontational.
I'm pretty, let's just hear everyone, this. But he was just a dick. I mean, and not only a dick, but just a crazy dick.
Yeah,
it was just
the best parts when he said he wasn't white, and I'm like, okay, well then you're white passing. I mean, like, you look pretty white to me. Like his skin tone is no darker than mine, and I have a percentage of Native American blood in me.
Yeah.
Like my mom, she's tan in the winter, so
Yeah.
she's got a lot more than I do. I definitely, my skin tone and my eye color is more European, like my dad's, and but I'm not going to go in there and say, well, I'm not white either because I'm 1/16 or 1/8 Native American or whatever.
Yeah,
no, I'm predominantly white.
well,
I'm white passing. I got
well,
white privilege.
well, he was trying to say that because it's the talking points of people who are trying to undermine. The argument is it's people who are against like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, and they try to throw this argument. I don't. It's an argument that I'm sure like they practice with other people of theirs. Like they call Black people racist. They call other. So they try to turn the table on them so that way it deflects the focus on them. And it's a silly. I know you are. What am I? Kind of argument. But they try it. They actually try it. But I think normal people look at him and say, "You're stupid." I mean,
but I think the difference is that I'm willing to own my white privilege. I'm willing to realize that many things in my life came to me, or many things I accessed that my peers of color would not be able to access because of my skin color, because of my name, because of my look. That I look at even the transgender population and trans women of color have an inordinate harder time getting jobs and getting places of residence, and suffer violence at much higher levels than I do. And so it's one of those things where it's not a real hard thing to do to admit that white people have privilege in this country. Like, you're top of the food chain. Well, because of something you were born with. It's I didn't earn my skin. I didn't right before I pop out pick my skin. My skin was predetermined for me.
But but when we're dealing with people like that, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I would probably not ever invite him back on again, was because you could just tell just in that brief time period. We always talk about all kinds of things, but I'd never been. I think I've seen this person before, maybe at a debate or whatever, and I thought he was kind of cuckoo then anyway. And but he was cuckoo in eccentric kind of a way. I didn't actually get to sit next to someone that was kind of cuckoo. And when he was talking and saying the stuff he did, it was almost a dangerous cuckoo. In that he actually doesn't even know. There's some people that just act a little, or you use the word performative. They're like I don't think Jeff Scott is crazy. I just think sometimes Jeff Scott says different things just to create reaction from him. Someone like Richard,
he tries to be. Jeff Scott's more of. First of all, I think Jeff Scott's a very intelligent man, and he does articulate some very, very strong points. And when he does take a stand, it's usually well thought out. Like he has a very strong opinion, a very well-educated opinion, and he's not always wrong. And there's some things that him and I definitely agree on. We're both anti-war. Jeff Scott's very anti-war, for example. Very, wants the military downsized, which I do too. I just don't think we have the money for it anymore, and it's really not necessary. And so there are a lot of things. Whereas I feel like with Richard, I'm pretty sure we don't agree on anything, probably not even the color of the sky. And, and so there's just some people, he's on that list of people I would assume not do the show with.
So he's one of those persons that outside of that environment, I wouldn't want to hang around.
No. Whereas counter, because we had Kyle, we've had Kyle on the show several times, and there's a lot of things that Kyle and I don't agree on too. But the difference is, for the most part, Kyle will acknowledge the differences and has a good sense of humor about the differences. and is very contrite and very, very humble, and and has been a good friend of the show too, and been very supportive. And I think that's one of the big things. And many of our Republican friends and neighbors that we've had on the show have been very supportive of our show. And just because we disagree on many things, does not mean that we can't have civility between each other, which lowers violence, which lowers understanding. We all don't have to agree on the same issues, as long as there's not hate involved. The only thing that I will not allow, and I know you won't either, is hate towards something that's somebody can't change, like your race or your sexual orientation or your gender or anything like that. If you hate on people for that, we're done.
That's what I actually think someone like Richard, because of the brief time we were here and how he justified his thinking process and his thinking, he's the type of individual that would sit there and say, Black lives, well, all lives matter. In his warped mind, he would justify his comments, and he would actually convince himself that he's not being racist or bigoted. And I'm sure we're not the first person who's ever told him that. And so you can tell, and you and I are pretty good. We try to be a good sense of not judging, but acknowledging someone just because what we've done professionally in the past. And you don't have to spend a lot of time with someone, especially when you first meet them and they're trying to be, if that's their best behavior when you first met them, your natural instinct is to say, God, if that's their best behavior during,
that was his on-camera personality.
Exactly.
Which,
if that's
there's things that you and I have said to each other off camera that we would never share, because we fight sometimes like siblings. I mean, we had a nasty fight about 2 weeks ago, and and we have never talked about it since then. But we got pretty mad at each other on that behind the scenes call. In fact, that week I didn't come onto the show. I was so upset. It happens, but our behavior on camera for the most part, at least more me than you. I mean, you're bad on camera sometimes, but most of it's to be facetious, to make a point, and we usually laugh about it. We usually joke about it. We usually just like siblings, we punch each other on the arm and then we get over it. But our intention's not malicious, and not that I think he just one of those people that you go, I could see why maybe he's not supported by the Republican Party that much. Just call me kooky.
I mean, I feel like even his own party thinks he's kind of
out there. Because you don't see him interacting much at Republican functions, and whereas you see Kyle involved with a lot of things. I believe he was a state delegate. We can ask him next week when he's on the show. But I know that Kyle's heavily involved with his party, the same way Matthew Ridenhour, is involved in a lot of Republican functions and gone to things as a Republican representative. And those two guys, for example, they've both been on the show. They both are fans of the show. They both have been very supportive of the show. They're both staunch Republicans. They don't apologize for it. And I value that. And they're also very honest people, and at the same time, I've interacted with them personally, and neither one of them have had a worthy moment with me to where they misgendered me or treated me bad or showed disdain. And, so it's one of those things that you can be conservative and still get along with a transgender woman or a Black woman or a Latinx woman or a Latinx person. The courtesy goes a long ways, and vice versa. I have respect for Kyle. I like Kyle. I like the fact that he tries to reach out. He's been very positive about the LGBT community. That he's actually gone to many meetings, and he's gone to Quality North Carolina meetings, at same meetings I've gone to, especially when we were still having real-time meetings. And he sat there as probably one of the few conservatives in the room with a lot of progressives bad-mouthing conservatives, and never got upset, never
it's
said, hey, I'm here to learn. And so it does show a lot.
It's going to be interesting to have the guest if he is able to join us here, because we've had conversations on this show about the white gay male, specifically the Southern white gay male, and how they are not that much different. They are. I'd be curious. I know you've approached it from your point of view. I'd be curious to hear what your other guest has experienced. I don't even know if you want to ask that same kind of question, but
Definitely.
we went camping again last weekend and in Georgia, and it was just very eye-opening. We're in the pool, and these people were not practicing social distancing, acting like nothing is going on, and we're trying to keep our side, space on our side of the pool. And someone just walked up to me and grabs and wanted to see these things I had on my arm, and of course I froze because I was stuck in the corner of the pool. I was trying not to breathe. I was like, I just got, it was just how, and then
No,
I took,
that's it.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
we didn't save everyone. We got out, and I went and bought some noodles so I could keep people away with social distancing, whatever. It kind of was a joke, but, and then of course everyone else is on the other side, all up in each other's face, talking, this, and that's just, that's just bizarre to me. But then when we came back and I had not been to our sports bar in 6 months. And Sunday night, I wanted to go watch the beginning of the Cowboy game. And I walked in, I sat, had my mask on, and a neighbor of ours came and sat next to me. She started talking. I got a little nervous, but she kept her mask on. She said, "I know you're concerned." And she kept her mask on. We were talking to each other. And then I would lift the mask like this and drink. And then this other guy who I guess had been to the Panthers game earlier, a typical neighborhood guy, obnoxious, middle-aged, just a blowhard, came over without a mask behind us like this and started preaching to us about how wearing a mask is, you can take your mask off and this, and we were ignoring him. So he walked and then came back and said, if you take your mask off, so you can save about 98% of Americans by this, and he's a herd immunity kind of guy.
Right.
And so first of all, he comes in your private space. And the second thing is he's saying this baloney crap, and he'd been drinking, as they all do. And of course, I'm like, God, I can't believe I got myself in this situation. And I thought about if I punched him, I had to have a reason to punch him. I mean, he hadn't actually touched me, but he is in our spot. So, because I don't respond very quickly. Luckily, our neighbor said, "Can you please get away?" And she kind of let him get away. But I was kind of upset at the bartender in the bar for allowing that stuff to happen. As a customer, I shouldn't have to defend myself in their bar. They should. They
That
should
is poor management. I mean, as somebody that has worked in bars, and I know the institution that you're talking about. We've been in there together pre-COVID, and I had some very uncomfortable incidences that have happened in there at least once. And I think a lot of times with these places and being in bar management and being in hospitality management, we both have been in some type of form of hospitality. That your guests' comfort is very important, and you don't want to look the other way. And if you're not aware enough of what's going on, then you shouldn't be running a bar. You should have your head on a swivel 24/7. And I've worked security in a bar. Let me tell you, at any one time I knew what was going on in the whole place. Like you have to, because you do have people that get adult beverages in their deal, and with a lot of privileged white males, cis white males, whether they're gay or straight, they have a lot of the same behaviors. We saw that at the RNC, where the gay male Republican was battling with Dirty Santa Republican, and the Dirty Santa was calling the gay male so many horrible things, and then of course the gay male was weighing back in and was attacking Dirty Santa.
It was
two white privileged Republicans, and the only thing that separates them is their sexual identity, and just battling each other on camera.
I know it was not funny,
That was a
But it
little
was,
funny.
yes, it wasn't funny, but it was funny. It was funny to hear this. You know, I'm even hesitant to call him a Republican. I just call him a Trump fan.
Yeah.
So
I was a
so
Republican.
yeah, but he also Trump fans don't even like other Republicans, but he loves Trump, and because he thinks like moderate Republicans and stuff are too like he wouldn't like Reagan because Reagan was about immigration, you know, about treating people. The Trump people don't like that. They're kind of bigots in many ways. I don't know if they're racist, but they're
But
bigots.
do you think? And see, this is a point that you and I
Yeah,
differ from. I think Trump fans are true Republicans. I think that's the way they've always been. I think that the party has always kept the crazy down to a minimum and have always kept it under grabs. And I think I think they're just feeling enabled because Trump is just,
yeah,
he is the loudmouth at the bar. Trump
yeah,
is the loudmouth at the bar that gropes
yeah,
women and gets into your personal space, gets into your personal
yeah.
business. That's who Republicans really are. But they just feel empowered now. They go, well, he does it, so we can, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean that's a good point. I guess I what I was going to say was the humorous part, even though it was humorous, but it wasn't humorous, was the Dirty Santa calling him the F word. You know, you F, you know, you have this, and you're just a this, and then him going back, you're a bigot. You're a this. It was funny to hear a Trump fan who calls other people things, telling this person, clutching his pearls, going, "Oh, you're being mean to me." So in a way, it showed you. I don't know. It was just I've never seen that before, and that was very interesting. And I'm sure that the Trump fan or that person, uh, obviously, it's not the first time this person has experienced this kind of stuff so openly. He's been taught. It's kind of like the log cabin Republicans. They know they're not, they're talked behind the time, but
Of
with
course.
evangelical conservatives. And they do their best to be wanted. I mean, they do their best within that organization, but they
I
still
mean,
don't.
we do have to acknowledge what a log cabin Republican is for people that maybe don't know a
Yeah.
lot about the LGBT community. A log cabin Republican is a branch of the Republican Party that is the LGBT Republicans. So they're not so so Republicans are so anti-LGBT that they have a satellite organization of predominantly white gay males,
Yes.
very entitled white gay males. In fact, a lot of them make fun of trans women, and so I guess they have to have somebody to pick on. And in fact, a couple of years ago, they had a meeting in New York, and there was this press conference with all these really Wall Street white gay males, real uppity dudes, and they were sitting there openly making fun of trans women during this press conference. They were showing, I guess, their best behavior, and you're going, you guys are it's the behavior has just become problematic. But these Trumpkins that run around and just yell at each other, when they start yelling at each other, you know there's problems. And
Well, you know, so it was interesting to see that. But if you watch that video, which we have many times, it was also interesting to see the progressives and the other people egging them on, like going,
yeah,
they were, those two were so stupid. If you think about it, they were so stupid that they didn't even realize they were performing for the people that were egging them on,
yeah,
because the people that were egging them on wanted them to continue and were going, "Oh, he called you this, oh," and it was
yeah.
egging it. Their machoism got in. I'm like, I'm performing. Which made them look even dumber, because then it didn't stop. It kept, like, one of them started going. He's bigot. This is, and it was just hilarious because it showed just, it was crazy, because a normal person, when that started, would have just walked away.
Well, you said it.
Yeah.
Normal person and a Trumpster, those paths are very parallel paths that
Right.
part very quickly. Because the moment, and I challenge, because there's a lot of Trumpsters that jump on Governor Cooper's feed
Yeah.
when Governor Cooper does, daily announcements on Facebook over, North Carolina information, or, a celebration or anything like that. And the Trumpsters right away you're jumping on there and putting all kinds of stuff on there. But when you confront them with logic and reason, you will see them just, they start personally attacking me. They start looking at my Facebook page and, saying, oh, your hair looks terrible, or, or they just start making fun of me that way. And I'm going, so you have to attack my appearance as your only outlet, because what I'm saying is right. You can't deny it, or I was putting memes of the Trump boat fiasco on there or whatever, or COVID numbers. I just post the COVID numbers. I go, this is what Trump and Republicans get you, is this right here. And so, but you said it on that, it's not normal behavior. We've never in my lifetime, and I've never seen behavior from any political movement as bad as Trumpkins. Trumpkins just, they feel so empowered. They feel so able to just be as hateful and encroach, like the guy that encroached your space at the bar. Like, how nervy is that to do that in the middle of a pandemic and to spew aerosols all over you over his opinion?
Well, because, and this person wanted so badly to get our attention, and because we were ignoring this person, and it was, and then he started saying stupid stuff like, well, and I said, well, that's a very interesting theory. I was trying to be, thank you. That's very interesting. He said, well, it's about math and science. I mean, I read math and science. Of course, I wanted to say, you're just an idiot. Could you get the F away from me or whatever? But I don't do things like that. But that was an instance where those kind of people, you can't be polite to.
Yeah.
Because they don't stop. You have to say, get away. But the unfortunate part, like we talk about, I shouldn't be in that position at a place that I'm paying for service.
No.
The people serving me should see that and say, and I'm not the first person that person's done it. This person who did that has a history of doing that to other people. So the logical thing is to say, hey, listen, you need to sit down, because first of all, they were violating a bunch of you're not supposed to be able to sit at the bar. Right. And they're violating, that's the first thing they're violating. If you walk around, you have to have a face covering on, or a mask, face covering. They weren't even do that. Apparently, this has been going on at this place they don't even care, because they don't think anybody's going to report them. Well, of course, if I were a neighborhood Karen, I would have called and not reported them. But my thinking is, someone's going to walk in there, and someone's going to say something, and that next night you saw this unfortunate situation at the bar up the street on Pineville Matthews at where the gentleman was shot at that bar, that sports bar on Monday night, I believe. Or night.
I do have to jump in real quick. So Philip, your brother, has been commenting, and he asked, who was the guy, Joe Rogan?
It's like one of those types. It's like, one of those, just, it was just silly. I was going to read you this meme that someone posted, which I thought was just hilarious. It was a meme that someone that posted. Let's see if I can find it while you're talking. Let's see, Facebook. Here.
Well, that's just hilarious. So Philip wished me happy birthday. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate it. I want to acknowledge it on the air. We haven't had any other comments besides Philip today. He also, I guess because I was talking about being partially Native American, but just like a slight bit, he goes, you and Warren. And then he put LOL. He was laughing. Of course, Philip's pretty funny. So for people that don't know, Philip Cano is Christian, my partner in crime's brother. And so he watches from Texas, and we always appreciate his commentary, and of course everybody from the Cano family watching and participating in our show.
So someone posted, I can't wait till Biden wins so I can roll around town with my Biden hat, my Biden shirt, 2 big ass Biden flags on my truck, and a "Suck It Repubs" bumper sticker. I'll yell obscenities at anyone who didn't vote for Biden and be angry all the time, even though my candidate won. Oh, wait, actually, I won't do that because I'm not a douchebag. So that is a great post, dude. I mean,
I've seen that one. I've seen that one.
yeah, I may have stolen it for you. So
And I saw another one that was along those lines, but they posted. They had this pickup truck with Obama flags on it. And remember when Obama voters ran around town in their pickup trucks yelling obscenities at Republicans and intimidating them why they didn't vote for Obama and all that? Oh wait, that never happened.
exactly.
And it's just, and you never even seen this really with any Republicans before. Like you never saw that with. I don't remember anybody doing that over Bush. Like,
no, I talk about it all the time, Jenny. Remember, we talk about. Have you ever remembered another president who had followers that had their flags of the name of that president? And so I did like this other one. This person said that they had just gotten their Biden Kamala flag, and they were going to put it on their porch, like all the Trump crazies in the country, in the rural areas. You don't really see them in the cities, but in the rural areas, they've got their Trump flags, and this is what it looks like. You see it?
I love it.
I thought was great because while they're putting Trump flags, we're all putting American flags. So
that does make an interesting point, because a lot of really staunch evangelical Christians support Trump, because of his administration and who he has as a vice president. And so it's an interesting question about worshiping false idols and all that. And you see these evangelicals basically worshiping not only the American flag, but also the Trump flag. And you saw it with the boat parades, especially the boats that sank, and they had all these top-heavy flags everywhere. And it makes you wonder. It's almost like a version of idolatry. It's like we put Trump on this huge pedestal, like they worship him, and it's just like, I don't know. As somebody from the outside looking in, as a non-conservative person, as a very progressive liberal person, whatever you want to call me, I just see it's very bizarre. It's almost a worshiping. Let's put you on an altar type thing.
Well, we've said many times that it's there is a certain type, and I know we can't generalize all the time, but I believe that especially in the country, in the rural areas, in a lot of those houses, the Trump flags have replaced Confederate flags because they can't put Confederate flags out anymore. So now they're using the Trump flag as kind of a symbol that, I'm still going to be able to do, whatever. But a lot of these individuals, it really, I just think that, and that's probably one of the reasons they get angry and angry, because people like me kind of call them out. I don't want to say call them out, but say, if that is your life is so shitty that this is your actual, this is your one mark you want to leave the world, is that you're a Trump supporter. I mean, the mark is not, I've raised great children, I love my family, I whatever normal traditionally, there are people that are fanatic Alabama football fans, but these people don't even have colleges are apparently those kind of allegiances. So they have made the decision, this is going to be their
legacy. Honestly, it's become such a, like you said, a fanaticism. Instead of pulling for Alabama or Mississippi or University of Texas or any of the great institutions of America, they're fangirling over a politician that, quite frankly, we've seen his history and the way he treats people that have worked for him. And he probably wouldn't even pee on you if you were on fire type thing. And Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself. But these people think that he actually cares about them. And we've seen him like matador people after he's done with them, or if they turn on him, he destroys them. And I'm going, man, you don't realize he could care less when he goes out of office.
Yeah. He's not going to
be done with you. You
He's not
know,
going to, yeah.
he's not
Well,
going to be a champion for poor conservatives. He's not going to
yeah,
go out there and try to help any causes. He's not going to be some kind of hero. He's going to go to his next glossy thing. I mean, unless of course
yeah,
he goes to prison, which is a
yeah,
possibility. But let's
yeah.
say he doesn't. Let's say he dodges all the charges. They're going to
He's
be
not going
levied against him. But he's going to go to the next glossy thing, the next shiny object. He's going to go back to his reality show. He's going to go back to a
to.
TV show because it's all going to be about him and his hair and his spray tan. But
Well,
he's not going to be worried about. He's not going to be worried about Trumpkins.
no, 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 no. And that's what, and that's why I keep saying that these, he's ramping up on his campaigning, the next couple of the 50 days or 50, how many days are there?
I
50
think
something.
it's right at about 50 days, or it was
So
a couple days ago.
yeah, so the next 50 days he's going to be campaigning. He's coming to Fayetteville, North Carolina this weekend, and he's not always doing all of them at hangars anymore. Now he's just doesn't even care because as long as he can get people to attend, he's going to have them indoors if he needs to, and they may even get bigger. I don't think they'll get it anywhere as big as they were, last year or whatever, or the last election cycle. But will still be complaining. He doesn't care because the one thing that he has made the decision is, what can they do? All they can do is complain. And so I do think it's a farewell tour. It's like, I joke about how it was like the Cher farewell tour. She just was farewelling forever. I went to 4 of them. I went to Vegas,
Right.
Dallas. Every year it'd be like a fair. Oh, she's leaving. And I was dumb enough to be
like all the fake store closing sales,
exactly.
Like most states now, you can't have a store closing sale unless you can prove that you're going out of business. But they used to go, well, 70% off this furniture, store closing, hurry up and get here and create urgency. And Philip commented that recently in Texas, Laredo, Texas, that he had 2,000, Trump had 2,000 people show up at a rally. And I'm going, that's way above 50. And it's way, how do you social distance something like that? And when you look at so many different events, and I'll use some from our community, pride events. Every pride event in America and all over the world got canceled immediately. And you see the difference between organizations that actually care about their people. And you see even the way Biden does. Biden's events, if they're indoors, it's only like 10 people. They're spaced out about 20 feet apart. Everybody wears masks. It's his town halls have been very low key, very safe. A lot of them have been done virtually. Yeah. And you see how the Democrats didn't have to be told by a governor of Wisconsin, hey, you guys need to scale your deal. They voluntarily scaled theirs down before they were even asked to. And Republicans were fighting it tooth and nail and made it a political issue because North Carolina's governor is a Democrat. Yeah. And if it had been a Republican, they didn't fight Governor Santos there or DeSantis or whatever his name is in Florida. They didn't rail against him when Jacksonville said, thanks, we were going to do it, but your crazy's too much. And we're not going to have a big live event with thousands of people. So they punted it back to Charlotte. And then they go, now we'll negotiate because we can't have it in Jacksonville. And so it's just one of those things where you go, yeah, see, we told you so. We told no city in their right mind is going to host a super spreader event.
I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people. The one in Fayetteville, it's going to be at a hangar, allegedly. We're supposed to get rain, so who knows, what they do there. But I just think that, let's just face the reality. Over the next 50 days, Trump doesn't care. All he cares about, I think he knows he's lost. And he is like, I don't really care. At the least, maybe we'll win if I just do who I am. If at the most, at least I'm going to go out the way I want to go out. And so I do think that we just have to stay focused on getting out the vote, getting our people out. And I do, people are like, oh, don't get complacent. Don't think we've won. Well, I think we've won, so we can at least acknowledge that. But we've got to make sure that we beat him and we get out and we make sure that other people get elected as well.
Well, and I think it's very important that that people vote. That
Yeah.
that I've seen so many organizations pushing not only to finish up the census. By the way, the census in the United States does end on September 30th, so people do get your census things in. I think it's very important to acknowledge that. Get yourself counted. It really affects our funding. I believe only about 70% of Mecklenburg County has filled out their census, so we still have 30% to finish up between now and the end of the month. And voting, get registered to vote. Make a voting plan. What are you going to do? Have some contingencies, whether it's a mail-in, it's early voting. Early voting starts October 15th. Only vote once. Shouldn't have to say
month
this,
from yesterday.
but only vote once. No matter how you choose to vote, only vote once. To all the adults out there.
It's going to happen. There's going to be a couple of Trumpettes, who just do it. They know it's illegal, but they just want they're the type of individuals who want attention. They are going to go into stores. They're going to scream, not wear masks, because they see reality shows. They see these kind of things, and they think to themselves, "Oh, I want my 15 minutes of fame. If those brown and black people are getting it, well, I need it." But not only will I get it, but I'll get other people saying, "Oh, you go, great, great, great." And they are at that stage. They wish they were brown and black, but they're not. And so they think if they do this, they will somehow get notoriety, by doing it. And it is such. I can't wait 10 years from now when we are studying this time period, historians and sociologists and stuff, and this is just the most interesting time period. You've got white grown-ass men acting like drama queens.
Yeah, like 5-year-olds, honestly, because there was a great article I read the other day about this psychiatrist wrote about Trump, and mostly about the Trumpkins, the Trump followers. And she said, they believe might makes right. And they believe, but most people grow out of that by age 5. Like, there's a 5-year-olds and down think it's okay to throw tantrums and try to push their way through stuff. And then as they get into grade school and kindergarten and all, they realize that that's the wrong way to handle themselves, and they get taught by adults, might does not make right. These people, for some reason, skip that part of kindergarten. They act like really spoiled, impotent children that flail around screaming at Target employees and screaming at Starbucks employees. And you're going, these people probably don't even make $15 an hour. They don't get paid enough to deal with your crazy. Like, if you want to act like that, stay home, please. And, to all those people out there that think it's okay to yell at service industry employees, it's not. It's a hard enough job putting up with your drunk ass. We definitely, as somebody that's worked in bars, I could just tell you, if you're going to show your ass, stay home, please. You record it, put it on YouTube, make a fool out of yourself on YouTube, but don't do it in public. Don't attack Target workers. Don't attack Walmart workers.
Don't you think, Jenny, one of the reasons I think that they feel they can do this is because many of those employees, they don't see them as human beings. They see them as the other person, because they don't look like them. They're darker or younger than they are. And so they don't see there's not that compassion towards that person, because you don't see them doing that at Chick-fil-A's or at Hobby Lobbies, or where there are probably more younger white employees, or white employees, period.
Or the companies, you name 2 companies that have made stands on what they believe is right. Whether it's right or not. You don't see people flailing around at Chick-fil-A's, which is ironic because ironically, this is the weird thing, and I don't know if it's true for all Charlotte area Chick-fil-A's, but most of them have their lobbies closed, so that you can only get Chick-fil-A through the drive-thru. And it was that way for a long time. I don't know if they have in-person dining now. And Chick-fil-A, when they could open their lobby, chose not to for a long time. And I think it's ironic that Chick-fil-A, being this conservative Christian company, is obeying so many of the social distancing rules. They've actually been very, very strict. And you don't see them protesting Chick-fil-A. That's a very good point. I have not seen one demonstration of Chick-fil-A.
Because they're doing it at places that people don't look like them. Maybe it makes them feel more comfortable.
And they've been known to be liberal too, like Target,
Yeah.
you know, with the transgender bathroom stuff, for example, made a very bold statement 4 years ago when all that started happening, and said, no, you can, you know, you pick the bathroom that aligns up with your gender identity. You know, we're going to protect trans people, and so, you know, you conservatives see, you know, places like Starbucks, and I pull out Starbucks and Target because there were two companies that were first movers on being very vocal about protecting trans customers, and are considered liberal companies by many conservatives. And that's where you see people throwing tantrums, is at Target, where you see that famous lady that was just pulling masks off the shelves and going, not today, Satan, and then yelling at the employees to the point where they had to call the cops. And I'm like, what did that solve but get your ass arrested? You know, it's like,
you got them on YouTube. It got them some likes. It got them they got their little time because, you know, there hasn't been really harsh punishment on a lot of them. They haven't really been prosecuted like other people get prosecuted. You know, and so they weigh their options and they say, okay, what's the worst can happen? Well, so they can lose their job. So you know, that is one thing that many people are trying to. I am happy that there are people, of course, people like Jeff Scott and stuff will say all these Karens are these, you know, all these whatever. You're reporting, you cause them to lose their livelihoods and this. Well, let's be clear here. You have a crazy white woman going into a store, creating a ruckus, destroying property, right? Destroying property, yelling at people. Okay, they're taken out by police. You have a person of color who gets out of their car and they're killed.
yeah.
So let's put things in perspective. All right. So you can't. There obviously is, and this white woman yells at the police, and they say, "Calm down, calm down. Let's just do this. Shoot her ass. You know, tase her just like you treat people of color." But more importantly, I'm waiting to see the people of color feel like their life was threatened and shoot them.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but that's what's going to have to happen to teach them what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And that's actually my biggest fear. So, you know, when you talk about violence, is when this starts to become a one-upmanship. So, are people going to have to arm themselves? And then when they start shooting back, which inevitably at some point is probably going to happen, it's bothersome, because then you're going to start having these long drawn out trials, and you're going to start having, you know, like you remember back with the O.J. Simpson trials and so many things that went on with that.
Jenny, this is what I fear is going to happen. And about the vast majority of people of color who have survived this Trump craziness, this Trump era, this Trump harassment, are going to forgive people. We're going to say, let's move forward. There are a small percentage of people of color that are going to want revenge. And the interesting thing is, the Trumpettes know it, and they don't care, because they know when those people want revenge, they're going to fall right into my trap, and they're going to be the exact kind of person that I say is going to happen. So then we can say, see, I told you, these crazy people there trying to, this is, so somehow that's, I think, what our challenge is going to be. When Biden wins, the majority of people are going to say, oh, let's move towards reconciliation. There are going to be some people that, for whatever reason, who have seen the proverbial knee on their neck and see that neck. And the reason I say this is because we're not anywhere in a comparison, but you have to look at South Africa. When the apartheid finally ended, the push was for reconciliation. There was still a part of that population that said, I'm sorry. They knew that change was coming, and they still had their knees on my neck. We want revenge, and there are people who are going to want revenge. That's, I think, going to be the biggest challenge for us: is how do we change that energy towards revenge to, and that's going to be a big challenge, because there are, and as a person of color, obviously I don't want revenge, but you also think there's a little part of you that says those Trump people, those Trumpettes, they know they have lost the election. Yeah. They know they've lost. And if they continue to harass and racist and do these kind of things, whatever comes to them comes to them. And you would think a logical person.
That's probably my biggest fear. Obviously, and you see like Antifa. I think they shot a Trump supporter. I believe the Trump supporter passed away last week or a couple weeks ago, and you see this whole ugliness, and I don't condone it, and neither do you. Neither one of us want to see violence. That's my biggest fear, is like, oh, we won, now let's go get them. Now let's go round up Trump supporters. Let's go find every house that has a Trump flag, every car that has a Trump sticker, and go, well, we won, and the spoils of war is we're going to go get you. Yes. And we're going to go, it's payback time. And that's the wrong mentality.
Because that's how the Trump. Yeah. Because that's the whole basis behind the Trumpettes' philosophy. We won. Elections have consequences. We have the right to act the way we want to act because we won. And we're going to win again. Now, they know they're not going to win again. So you would hope some of them start to pivot, start to backtrack, but they're so afraid now because they put themselves in such a binder that they don't have any choices now. All they can do. And so it's going to be very difficult for them to, in the employment arena, those who still have an opportunity, because we're going to be looking at their social media. We are going to be
I think what's going to be fascinating once Biden gets inaugurated in January of 2021, I want to see how many conservative, I don't have any conservative friends on Facebook. So the ones that I see pop up, I go ahead and delete them. I rarely keep them. Yeah. But the few Trumpsters that I will be able to see, I wonder how fast all that stuff is going to come down. Like how fast many of them are going to start deleting all, because you can go back and you can delete all that off.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I think we'll have some, but it'll be interesting to see how much they come down, and it'll start to happen right after the election, and then you'll get a little pop up again because the reality is it's regardless of how much Trump wins or loses. I'm sorry, Trump loses, you're still going to have one or two fringe people who get elected, whether it's at a state who's one of the conspiracy persons, whether it's a congressperson who gets in, and so they're still going to have the little heroes, the Michelle Bachmans, they're going to have those kind of people. They're going to carry them over the next couple of years. They'll still have the little heroes to follow. And that's what I think, that there are people are positioning themselves who's going to take Trump's place, because these people are going to have to put their cult, they're going to need a new cult leader. Who's that going to be? And because, like I said, they can't have normal leaders. They have to have some
well, they'll still have Fox News. They'll still have Fox News trumpeting the crazy stuff. And Philip made a point. He said the Antifa guy that shot the Trumpster. was a white guy, and there is a lot of white people in Antifa, and I know a lot of trans people that are in Antifa and post about it all the time, and there is a lot of violence coming from that movement. And what I hope, and for all my progressive friends that are Antifa, you know, I hope cooler heads prevail in that movement. You know, when I see somebody that I know personally post about violence, I tend to distance myself from them. I don't. I hope there's going to be more people like you and I that see the long game. There's a big picture. We've got to fight a climate crisis. We have a COVID crisis. We have a lot of things we need to heal in this country. There's a lot of things we need to redirect that energy deal, and we definitely don't need to be. We've got a lot of things to do with equity in changing how people of color and how police. We need to shift resources more to counseling and social work, and take some of that funding from police departments. We need to scale back the militaristic responses, the shoot first, ask questions later type responses. Those don't need to exist anymore. Civilians don't need to be shot or harmed or you have chemical weapons used on them. And in a true free society, like, we need to reevaluate how we do things, and hopefully with President Biden, we'll see that change.
Yeah, I think, you know, but you know, we got 50 days left. We all need to get out and do what we need to do to vote, and go carry 5-10 people to go vote, and encourage people to go vote. I think, you know, at this stage of the game, I know that Ruth had mentioned very briefly that Hector, they're trying to register the people votes. At this stage of the game, you just got to get the people who are registered to vote.
Right.
That's, you know, we got to get those people to actually show up. Registering people, if you have not registered to vote at this stage of the game,
you're probably not.
I'm not going to spend my energy and effort on you. Energy and effort on people who are registered to vote, and then we'll worry about you, you know, later on. So I don't know. We'll see. Hey, we run over. Way over. I'm sorry our guest couldn't join us today.
Oh yeah.
So, well, you know, and people got to work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he might have gotten tied up at work. So next week we'll have Kyle Kirby on if he can make it, and I'm sure he will.
We'll have all the virtual chairs ready, and I'll send them we'll get it all done. But you have a good birthday tomorrow. What are you doing for tomorrow for your?
I have a meeting, or a virtual meeting with Pride in the morning, and I'm going to be doing yoga with somebody first thing in the morning. So I'm going to be getting up early and going to yoga at 9 in the morning. But I have no evening plans at this point. But so probably by about 1 o'clock, I'm going to be fairly free. But yeah, I'm gonna start my day with two things I really want to do. Julie Ghazi that owns Pure Pizza and is a yoga studio owner, has invited me to do yoga with her, and so I decided I'd like to do it on my birthday. So I'm gonna be doing that first thing in the morning.
That'd be cool. We'll stretch.
Yes, it's good. I got to get these joints moving, considering how old I am. You know, being 29 is tough. You know, again.
No, it's 21. It's your 21. 21. It's your 21st.
21's a hard sell, because that would mean I was 20 up until this point.
Yeah. It's your anniversary of your 29th birthday. So
yes, I think I can sell 29 maybe.
Yeah, I just want to be stuck at 33 or 34.
Yeah, mid-30s is a good age. Like, I wouldn't mind being 35 forever. Like, that would be 35 was those were 33 and about 35 were some good years.
40s were good too. 50s have been good, you know. We'll see. 60s, we'll see how that works out. Well, happy birthday tomorrow, and we'll talk tomorrow. But everyone who's joined us, thank you so much. And Jenny, it's been great talking to you as well. I guess we will end the show. If you'll hold on. Jenny, stay on so we can make a promo, okay?
Okay.
Bye. Oh, get my car seat. Hold on. This way.